What if I told you that Jesus' last words were not a cry of despair, but a direct shout out to a 1,000-year-old prophecy that everybody missed? Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me? Everybody thinks that when Jesus said this, he was in agony and despair. He was literally crying out to God like, dude, why have you forsaken me? But no, it's so much more than that. Lock in. Let's get into it. So at this point, Jesus had been hung on the cross to be crucified. And reading in Mark, it tells us that there was a total solar eclipse that covered the land in darkness for a total of 3 hours. Now this is especially remarkable because during a full moon, which Passover was always held during, a total natural solar eclipse is completely impossible. This was an extraordinary miracle in the heavens because it was the agony of creation itself showing the suffering of the Creator. Now there's a Roman historian named Phlegon who also mentions an earthquake at the time of crucifixion. And in Mark it tells us it was total darkness from the 6th hour to the 9th hour. And in that end of the 9th hour, Jesus cries out, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. My God, why have you forsaken me? Now this is extremely interesting because Jesus was quoting Psalm 22, a prophecy that was written by Daniel 1,000 years prior. Now the Pharisees should have noticed this because they were biblical scholars and scribes, but they just totally missed it. If you look here right at the beginning of Psalms 22, he's directly quoting it. My God, why have you forsaken me? If you keep reading through that chapter, it just gets more and more interesting. But I am a worm and not a man, scorned by mankind and despised by the people. Sound familiar? All who see me mock me. They make mouths at me. They wag their head. All right, now check this out. Verse 14 through 18 says, I am poured out like water, and all my bones are out of joint. My heart is like wax. It is melted within my breast. My strength is dried up like a potsherd, and my tongue sticks to my jaws. You lay me in the dust of death. Now check this out. For dogs encompass me. A company of evildoers encircles me. They have pierced my hands and feet. I can count all my bones. They stare and gloat over me. They divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lot. Isn't that wild? A company of evildoers encircles me. That's the Pharisees. They've pierced my hands and feet. His hands and feet were pierced. I can count all my bones. They stare and gloat over me. Everybody was doing that. And they divide my garments among them, and for my clothing they cast lots. And in Mark it tells us they were casting lots for Jesus' belongings and clothing. See here, Mark 24, and they crucified him and divided garments among them, casting lots for them and decide what each should take. Wild. So by quoting Psalm 22, that passage, Jesus declared that he fulfilled that prophecy in both its agony and its victory. And the Pharisees just completely missed that. So then it says, Jesus cried with a loud voice and then breathed his last. Most victims of crucifixion spend their last hours in complete exhaustion or unconsciousness before death. But Jesus was not like this. He was the real OG. Even though he was tremendously tortured and weakened, he was still conscious and able to speak enough right up until the moment of his death. You want to talk about true strength? I think that says it. John 19 tells us he cried out in a loud voice, "It is finished." This is one word in ancient Greek, tetelestai, and it means paid in full. Now this is the cry of a winner because Jesus paid in full the debt of sin that we owed. He finished the internal purpose of the cross. As horrible as the physical pain of the crucifixion and suffering was, it wasn't the pain or agony or anything physical that Jesus dreaded. No, what Jesus dreaded was that momentary spiritual suffering, the separation from God, this act for being judged for sin in our place, God's righteous wrath. On the cross, Jesus became, in a sense, an enemy of God and was forced to drink the cup of the Father's fury. He did it for us so that we would not have to drink that cup. Now that is just true, pure, and righteous love. And if Jesus can do that for you, what can you do for him? Amen.